All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Free Range American and back to sort of our scheduled programming after the holidays and everything like that. We're getting back to our guests, having on awesome guests that we want to introduce to you, as well as, Evan will be up here next week. So you'll see a bunch of core fours coming out with all of us sitting around talking trash. But today, we got someone I've been excited to talk to because we get to talk about stuff I like. Mr. Angel Cortes, welcome to Free Range American. How are you, buddy?
Dude, dope, man. I'm super excited. Like I mentioned before, I used to watch your YouTube stuff back in the day, and I watch your guys' podcast, and your guys' guests are, I think a lot of us look up to, and we like their stories, and we like to see their success outside, the military. And dude, like it's an honor to be here, dude.
Oh man, thank you. That's that's awesome. So you stumbled upon us early then, right?
Yeah, somebody sent me a video, and I want to say it might have been the "You might be a veteran if," and at the time, what the internet wasn't what it used to, what it is now. So like people didn't really know who was who, or what unit they were from, and stuff like that. And a lot of the stuff just made me laugh. And I was still active duty, so but I just figured, maybe that's what a veteran is like. And you've never seen people do like these, not necessarily like skits, but like these types of videos. It was new, and I think a lot of us loved them.
That's awesome, dude. And funny to hear. I forget how long that we've been doing this sometimes. And even then, it seems like even longer. When I look back to like El Paso days, like 2013, 2014, I mean, that just seems ages ago. And it's just the stuff that we're doing now is just a little bit different, higher quality, but kind of still the same.
No, no, yeah, I'm pretty sure people have even followed, way sooner than me. I'm pretty sure if, from their eyes, is just mind blowing compared, especially for you guys. I'm pretty sure you guys didn't even see this coming.
No, not at all. So, speaking of that, you've had quite the upbringing and past and stuff like that. You want to dive into kind of where this all starts?
Yeah. And well, the reason why I also brought up, I'm pretty sure you guys didn't see it coming, was because I just had a conversation about, myself. They're like, man, did you ever see any of this coming? And I was like, no, like, not at all. I was born and raised in Southern California. I was uh, come from a dirt poor family, and I skated for a long time to stay out of trouble. But sooner or later, I did get into trouble. I was a gang member for a little bit. But I knew this that wasn't a lifestyle for me, and it wasn't gonna lead me anywhere. And I've always wanted to join the military, so sooner or later I joined, and then eventually became a ranger. So I was at 175. So I was in from '08 to 2016.
Awesome. And
I
you
got
started out as a combat engineer, though, right? Where were you at with that?
Yeah. Uh, I was at Lewis.
Oh, nice.
So I didn't know anything about the military, So I was at the Lewis. I just saw a bunch of, like, one of my friends had a cable in the, what is it, National Geographic, Iraq specials, Afghanistan specials, and the military channel. And I saw that a bunch of IEDs were killing people, and I didn't know what IEDs were, but so I just wanted to do something that had to do with IEDs, that these things that I kept seeing people were, soldiers were getting killed from. So it was either that or EOD. And at the time, there's just no way I was going to complete EOD. I didn't pay much attention at school, and EOD sounded like a lot of schooling. Um, but now I'm going to school, so now for sure, I'm pretty sure I can handle it.
Nice. So started out as an engineer, and then how did you get recruited to go to the 75th? How does that work? I've actually never talked to anybody that did an inter-service transfer over there.
Well, I was fortunate enough to, I had like great leadership, great mentors, in certain moments of my career that they saw something in me, and they built me into who I am today. And one of them, his name's Hugh Vanderwall, and he was like, "Hey man, if you want to go special operations, you can do it, because I would talk about stuff like that, and I would look up to, the dudes, the 275 guys, and then the first group guys up at Lewis. And I started building myself. I wasn't much of an athlete, and when I first got in, I mean, before that, I was just a gangbanger, still skated, stoner. You're not very athletic. So I built myself into a position where I could go for selection. And then right before I was going to drop a packet, they said that we were going to be part of a VSO operations in Afghanistan with third group. And it seemed too good to be true, but it actually happened. They would fit a squad of infantrymen attached to an ODA, and then they would, live and fight out of, the valley of that they controlled. So that I was like, for sure. After that deployment, I was like, yeah, special operations is where I want to be. It's where I feel like I have more of an impact, better training, higher quality of not just individual, but soldier. And one of the guys used to be from regiment, and he told me, what he considered pros and cons of both. And it's just regiment sounded like it was more for me. So as soon as I came back, I dropped the packet, went to RASP. And me being prior service, I kind of had a different pipeline. It was long, but I completed it, and lucky enough to be part of the unit.
And what rank did you show up to 175 as?
E5.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
They make you go to Ranger school first?
What it was is first, because I wasn't even airborne qualified. First they were like, okay, you're gonna go to RASP, then airborne school, and then me being a combat engineer, because I was still a combat engineer up at 175. They're like, you have to go to master breacher, then cert, and then Ranger school. And that took from October to October. So I did all that in a year. I knew I didn't have a legit spot, even though I passed RASP, because one of the senior NCOs was like, hey man, it's not personal, but this is a one-shot thing. So if you get hurt, there's no reduce, there's no recycles, there's no whatever. We just can't be doing this with you prior service dudes. And I was like, okay.
Yeah. And how was Ranger school for you? Like, did you go straight through? Did you recycle at all?
I recycled Florida, not because I didn't pass patrols. I did pass my patrol, but I tried to get into a fight in the patrol base.
Oh God, do tell. Do go into detail of this.
And well, so you got tired Rangers, and then you got hungry Rangers, and I was a hungry Ranger. So of course, when you get your food taken away and you sleep and all that, you make decisions that you normally wouldn't do. If you were 100% fed and with some sleep.
Yeah, you're irritable.
Yeah, and one day I wasn't even being looked on for as go or no go. I was just in just a support. So one of the dudes was trying to get his go, and somebody from my squad was talking, and somebody else said, shh, to shut him up. And this guy, who happened to be a Ranger as well, was like, hey, how about you shut the fuck up, Cortes? And I was just like, I didn't even say shh. Like I'm not even the one shushing. You know what I mean? And I knew the cadre were right behind us. So I heard the cadre say, okay. So someone doesn't like to be a team player, huh? And I was just like, fuck, like this dude probably thinks I'm a shitbag, and he might, judge me a certain way and take my go away from me or something. So we got to the patrol base and we set it up, and I was like, dude, what the fuck? I wasn't even the one talking. Because the reason they were talking is because one of them was falling asleep, and they're like, hey, wake up. And they're like, I am awake. And people fall asleep and they don't know that they're falling asleep during Ranger school. No one, for the most part, purposely falls asleep while they're walking. or on security, and that's why they were talking. So I was just like, dude, I wasn't even the one who said anything. And he's like, you're always telling people to shut the fuck up, and I was just like, dude, like, uh, I was just pissed off, and I was like, you know what, man, take your shit off, dude. I'm gonna fuck you up right now. And I look I look so fucking silly because the people who haven't been to Ranger School yet, you have everything fucking tied down to you. So there I am talking shit for like seemed for like 5 to 10 minutes, untying my weapon, untying this, untying that. Like it, I look pretty tying a bunch of shit. Um, and then he didn't want to fight, and it got to the cadre. So I went to a board, and then they're like, you try to fight somebody, and they knew I was prior service. They're like, how about we just send you back to regiment without your tab? How long you think you're gonna last there, huh? And I was like, well, I'm not gonna last there at all. And then they're like, well, you can either redo Florida or you can go home. And I was like, well, fuck, I'm fucking redoing Florida.
Well, point me in the direction because I'm doing this one again.
Yeah. And it was funny that the dude who I wanted to fight was actually the guy who pinned me when we graduated Ranger School, because he recycled as well, not because of the fight incident, but because they gave him 3 to 4 looks and then he failed all of them. So we were actually recycled together. And then when we graduated, 175 was all deployed. So my section leader didn't show up. And he was like, is anybody here to pin you? I was like, nah, man. I was like, everyone's deployed. And he's like, you want me to pin you? And I was like, fuck it. So he pinned me. So yeah, I fucking forget his name, but I
The
mean,
dude that caused you to recycle Florida pinned you at graduation.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, well, I caused myself
Yeah.
to recycle. I shouldn't have done that. But at the time, it looked like the right idea.
I mean,
yeah.
I don't know why. I mean, it didn't escalate. I don't see a reason to recycle you for that. Like, it's kind of like you asked the question too. You said, okay, your attitude is to the point where now we're fighting. I mean, that's kind of what we're training over there. Violent men. And now you're going to get mad at them when they fight with each other over fucking stupid shit.
Yeah. I mean, I can only imagine that my peer reviews didn't look so well after that, because I mean, other than him, the rest, I remember right, the rest were officers. So I know some of the officers straight out told me like, yo, that was not cool he did. So I'm pretty sure they rated me negatively. So
oh, boring. What was
whatever.
what was gang life like? What does that entail?
Man, you know what? I at the time, I was just very angry, and from my upbringing of being, physically and mentally abused, and being poor, and my situation. Um, you know, it was a lot of, and so your angry environment. You have to, you're either going to get punked, or you're going to punk dudes, or you got to hold your own. And the reason why I actually joined a gang was because one day, I mean, I still skate to this day. I got a mini ramp in my garage,
Yeah.
But my all my friends were skating in front of our junior high, and some of the local gang members try to take more of our boards, and I realized that half the group that I was with, half those skaters weren't going to do anything, and they were going to let it happen. And then there was a few of us, and I realized like, hey man, I'm at that age where I'm not invisible anymore to these gang members. Like, they see me, and they're either going to punk me, or I got to join them or join another gang. So then I found some guys that were like, hey man, we don't like those dudes. And I was like, hey, I don't like them either. So I started hanging out with them, and it's little by little, things just escalated, because I just wanted back up from these certain dudes from school. And next thing you know, I'm having beef with grown men outside of school and dudes from others. And if it starts with a fist fight, next thing you know, you're jumping each other, and then there's stabbings. I got stabbed at during summer school at a high school. I got stabbed in the head and the back.
What?
And
Where were you?
next thing um, well, it was the first day of summer school at a high school where I knew, our rivals. That was their area. So I knew for sure we were gonna fight, but I didn't think it was gonna be on the first day of summer school, and I didn't think I was gonna get stabbed. I we got out, and it was three of
I
us.
didn't think I was gonna get
And
stabbed. That's not something you generally
and
think, I guess.
I mean, class was over, and we walked out, and I seen one of them at the light, and it turned red, so I knew we were all going to meet up at the corner and wait for all the cars to stop. And one of them turned around and said, whatever, some stupid shit, and then so we just started fighting. And I had beef with this one particular individual for a while, and I was waiting for my chance, and finally him and I were going one on one, and I was kicking his ass. But next thing you know, I feel somebody hitting me, and I thought at the time he was punching me, and then I started ducking and protecting my head, because I was like, in my head I was like, this guy punches real hard, like he's punching real hard, and this hurts.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, somebody yells, cops, cops, and then I hear a girl bleeding, and then I look up, and she's looking at me, and then I put my hand on my head, and when I look at my hand, it's completely red. And the reason why it hurt is because the dude wasn't even punching me; he was stabbing me.
Holy shit. In
So
the head.
yeah, yeah. So I mean, so if I shave my head pretty thin, you see all the spots where hair is not going to grow there anymore.
Wow.
So yeah, and then things just escalated from that. Next thing you know, I'm buying guns. I got a bulletproof vest. We're selling drugs, and it just spirals out of control really fast. But I didn't belong there. I would look around and look at some of these guys and be like, dude, you and I are not the same. And I just wanted not to be punked. I wanted to be left alone, feel protected, and then also, not having a stable home, and seeing dudes who at the time I felt like they cared for me, and I thought it was like a legit, you know, like brotherhood. So I protected them, and they protected me, and in some instances they would feed me, and were in my house that there was no food. Uh, but I actually, when right before I left for the army, I mean, I knew it was time to get out. So I got out, and I took a couple dudes with me. So and that on its own was very challenging, because gangs don't let you just leave.
Yeah, I know. I was going to ask you that. Like, how were you able to roll out without repercussions?
Well, uh, it was kind of it was hard, but it was kind of easy. It was easy because at the time, yeah, yes, we're a gang, but within the gang, I had my own crew, and I didn't see it that way. It took me a while to see it, but I was like the unofficial leader and spokesman for our little crew. So when I told all eight of us, like, hey, man, what we're doing, this isn't going, we're not going to last. This isn't something we can do forever. And I pointed out other flaws, and I was like, dude, let's get out. And at the time, I mean, we were doing my little crew. We were doing the vast majority of all the violent crimes. I mean, we were the ones doing all the fighting, all the stabbings, all the with things with guns. And so when I left, I told the guys, I told the gang, and then I'm like, you can either leave us alone, and if not, and then if at the time, if we're leaving, who's going to do anything to us?
Yeah.
So it was funny because some of the dudes who I thought were going to be okay with it were the ones who had problems with it. But again, I mean, what could they do? We were the ones
You were the muscle anyway.
doing
So
everything. So who, yeah. But other gangs didn't let us out. You know, we there was a there was one instance where I was like, hey man, we're not with so and so anymore. They don't like us. Some of them don't like us, and and we're just trying to do our own thing. And some of them were like, okay, that's cool. Fuck them, and other ones weren't. And I knew that that was going to be that's a possibility. So I figured if they're not going to leave us, we're going to force them to want to leave us alone. So we upped the violence, and I mean, certain things happened, and next thing you know, we're getting raided by SWAT, because somebody didn't die and told on certain people, and they said certain things, and so it was it was a roller coaster trying to get out, but we all made it for the most part. Uh, but yeah.
wow. But the skating stayed strong through all this.
Yeah, and this is what tripped out, like, because I would always skate, and I would have my skateboard everywhere with me, and then some of the gang members, they would be like, dude, like, leave the fucking skateboard alone, like you, you're not making us look tough when you're skating around. But I was like, dude, this is what I've always done. Like, I love skating, and I got pictures of me all bald, and but on my one of my hands I'm carrying a skateboard.
So you went
and
into the
even in the
military.
military I skated, but
You went into the army from Southern California then, and
well,
is that like kind of like the tail end
yeah.
of once things started to die down with the gangs, and you just shot out there? Was this after the SWAT raid that you decided to roll into the army?
No, I knew I've always wanted to join. Since I was a little kid. Kids are playing with like Batman and Superman, and I would play with the plastic green figures that you get at the 99-cent store, because I knew, even though I was really young, I knew Superman and Batman, they're not real, but these soldiers that I would see on the movies and TV, like, that was real, and I wanted to be that. I wanted to be like them. I liked how they cared for each other. I like how they were strong, and they were brave, and they fought for something. And I like that. I wanted to be like that. So, because at the time, they were everything that I wasn't. I wasn't, strong. I wasn't, I didn't really stand for anything. And so I always knew. So after that raid, um, I was like, okay, I didn't go to jail. Um, you know, I gotta do this now. So I went to the recruiter. I was 17 and a half, and I gave him my spiel, and he's like, hey man, you're too young, but your mom can sign for you. So then I had to go to find my mom. She signed, and I was gone.
Wow. And then you ended up in Washington State, huh? What year was that? 2008.
Yep.
Awesome. That's where I'm from. So I grew up in Tacoma.
Oh, nice. Yeah. I mean, I love it. I grew to love the outdoors over there. Before that, I mean, I didn't leave my county. There was no traveling or anything like that.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. So what was your fancy when it came to skating back then? And even like how did you kind of keep it going once you got in the army? Because skating is one of those most perishable skills I think I've ever partaken in.
Yeah,
Where it's if you don't do a kickflip for 3 days, it's going to take you a little bit to get it back.
yeah. Well, I still skated when I got to my unit, and then because Fort Lewis, or I guess it's JBLM now. So
Yeah.
JBLM has a skate park, or at least they did back then. And I would go to the skate park, and I remember one day, I twisted my ankle, and the next morning, I mean, during our PT, I immediately started falling behind, and my squad leader was like, I mean, I wasn't the fastest runner, but I wasn't slow or anything. So as soon
Yeah.
as I started falling out, they're like, hey, what's going on? And I was like, oh, I hurt my ankle. And they're like, what? How? And I was like, oh, I was skating. And then my squad leader put me to the side after that run, and they're like, hey man, you're a soldier now. You can't be doing this stuff, getting hurt. We're going to Iraq soon. And I was like, okay, so I should probably stop. And so I stopped skating for like 2-3 years, but I always had a board, and occasionally, of course, I would bust a kick flip or a pop shove it or whatever. Watch skate videos here and there, and or just cruise. But I never really put it away. And then when I got out, I was like, let's do this. um, but man, I can't take a hit like I used to.
No, not anymore. Now when you get hurt, you're down for 6 months, man.
No. Sports.
So what are some of your favorite videos? Who were your guys back in the day? Who are you watching all the time?
Well, the first skate video I ever saw was an ES skate video. It was like called
Modus operandi.
Min come man, it's MENIKAN or something like that.
Menikai.
It's the one where yes,
Yeah.
there you go.
Yeah.
That's the first one I saw, and then after that same day I saw Flip Sorry, and that changed my life. Because before that I'd only seen magazines. I mean, there wasn't the internet what it is now, so you can just go up on skate IG pages and watch dudes rip. Like all you had was Thrasher magazine or Trans World magazine, and you would just see these stills. So when I saw these guys partying and raging, the flip team, so you had, Ali Blala, you have JF Raleigh, Tom Penny, these dudes were just wild, and I became just like that. I mean, I would, we would go to the skate park and drink those energy alcoholic drinks, the
Four Locos,
Spark, or Locos. Those two. I mean, that we just partied, and those were my main dudes. And I would say GF Raleigh for sure. I mean, even to this day, I just saw one of the Vans video, Propeller, and he's still on there, so he's kind of still doing his thing.
Holy cow. I would be interested to go back and see who's still around. Like, I mean, I remember Andrew Reynolds was coming up then. Yep. Eric Costin, always super clean. That's a S skater. And Andrew Reynolds was kind of the wild boy. He was the one, wasn't he like one of the OGs and piss drunks and stuff like that? Like, that kind of really started the wild side of skateboarding.
Yeah, him, Dustin, Ali Blala, who else? Spanky. I mean, all those dudes were just, drinking, partying, fucking, skating, and that's all they did.
You ever run into any of them down there? Because they're all from down there, aren't they?
Yeah. I mean, I've seen some of them because they're like little local demos, but I've never actually talked to any of them. I've seen Reynolds. I've seen Chad Muscat.
Yeah, I saw Chad Muscat tried to start a YouTube channel recently.
Well, I mean, I don't know. He got hurt, right? So like, it bums me out to see some of these dudes who I used to just see rip, just kind of.
Yeah. What happened? What happened to him? I didn't know he got hurt.
I can't remember. Yeah, I can't remember exactly what, but if I remember right, Vice did a little piece on him, and I just caught the end of it because I walked in and he was watching it, but he got hurt, and I mean, he is a fraction of what he used to be.
Yeah.
And same with Ali Blala. Ali Blala was, with Reynolds and all of them, and then when he got in his motorcycle accident, and then that's when the other skater Shane Cross died. I mean, Ali Blala can't even skate, and he used to just jump off 25 set stairs.
God, remember Jamie Thomas, The Leap of Faith?
Yeah, I mean,
Misled Youth was the Zero video.
Yeah, I mean, the Zero was my first pro board I ever got, and that's how I found out about him. Because before that, it was just nothing but blank boards. Because I mean, blank boards are cheaper.
Yeah, it's $28 for a blank.
Yeah.
But they never had the shape.
I mean,
they never had the blanks. Just, I mean, I think like right when I like quit, my last board was a Habitat, because Habitat just seemed to have the best concave and pop that you could get off of a fresh deck.
Because besides Habitat, what were the big companies then?
Alien Workshop
For you.
Shorties. Girl had just came out. Enjoy. I had an Enjoy board that I really liked. Because I was skating pretty much from like 96 to 2002. That was the big chunk of when I was skateboarding. So like, yeah, you had Birdhouse obviously, but Birdhouse was kind of like the such big brand. You know, Tony Hawk was getting so big that like Birdhouse was more, they just weren't really it. I felt like they weren't street focused at all. They were vert guys. Like Birdhouse was Bucky Lasik and Tony Hawk, and they were ramp dudes. So it was like, as a street skater in Seattle, like you just didn't really connect with, I felt like I didn't connect with Birdhouse a lot. Whereas you looked at guys like Shorties, you know, because Shorties had Muska at the time. Enjoy and Alien Workshop, Habitat. I really just, you know, those guys' teams were always the coolest street skaters. You know, Arto Sari and guys like that.
Yeah, he was an S and flip skater too. Man, what was the last skate video you saw?
Well, man, I don't even know. I mean, I know like right as I left for the military, like our favorites were tilt modes. Like, because tilt mode was like, it was almost like 1 foot underground, 1 foot mainstream pro. Because it was put together, I'd have to go back and research it, because I think it was put together by like Steve Caballero and a couple other guys, but it was just a way more raw. The parts, every pro's part in tilt mode was just sick, and really like those. But modus operandi, you know, the end is iconic. Like that was probably one of the greatest skate videos made of its time, with the music that they were able to license, with the little sketches that they started doing in between that were kind of scripted. God, what was Steve? Who used to ride for Birdhouse? His first name was Steve. I can't think of it right now. Steve Barra? Yeah, and Andrew Reynolds. Steve Barra and Andrew Reynolds. Their part in the end was just wild. Misled Youth was one. I said modus operandi. That was S's like big drop. And then obviously, you know, the CKYs. You know, we were a big follower of Bam, and you know, first he was with Toy Machine for a while, then he went to Element. I can't remember what Element's videos were back then.
Well, I saw the only reason I saw an Element video was because of Bam. I mean, Bam got him and his crew, they just got so big. You know, People of Bam was I mean, one of my favorite shows growing up. And as a matter of fact, that's the reason why I bought a limo to drive as a daily driver, was because of People of Bam.
You did? When was this?
Now, my daily is a limo.
You're kidding.
No, it's a 1992 Lincoln Town Car limo.
Oh my God, is that just hilarious?
I love it. I mean, I love it. I mean,
people ask you for rides?
Not really. I mean, my friends sometimes, you know, like, but for the most part, people just, you know, they say what's up. They're like, dude, that's so cool. I can't believe, you know, you have it as, and I tell them, I was like, dude, because of Viva La Bam, and they trip. They're like, Viva La Bam, and I'm like, dude, do you remember? One of them used to have like a limo for a little while as a daily driver, and as a teenager, you see these dudes ripping and doing whatever they want, and one of them's got a limo. You're like, dude,
that's so ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. It's like
yeah.
That's awesome, dude. So last year I got to stay the night in Bam's room in the castle.
Oh, really?
Yeah, me and Street Bike Tommy.
Do you know him?
I have got to meet and spend some time with him. So yeah, me and Street Bike Tommy stayed at the castle and slept in Bam's old room.
Nice.
It was wild because they still got the giant purple lit heartogram on the wall, like that
Yeah.
the hymn logo. Dude, the
Yeah.
castle
Yeah.
still
Yeah.
looks. I mean, it looks the exact same. I mean, I was just in awe. I was actually in there by myself for a couple hours. Everybody was kind of partying outside, and I was just like slowly walking around the house and reliving every scene that I had that I grew up with. Like, and here are the stairs. Here's where they did this to
Yeah.
Phil. Here's where they pranked April. This is when they did this. This is when they did this. It was so wild, man.
Yeah. Oh man. I mean, I love that show. I tell my wife like we need to watch. We need to start watching those shows again. Um, you
All
know.
right. So you what year did you get out, and then what did you do once you got out? Where did things go from there? You know.
Um, well, I got out 2016. Things were kind of not necessarily slowing down. It's just they were putting a lot of restrictions that I didn't like. A lot of restraints and restrictions, and I just felt like that's not how you're supposed to be fighting if you really want us to win and do our thing. Um, so I got out 2016, and I started going to school to become a registered dietitian. As a matter of fact, I'm still going to school for that, and I got 17 credits left before I get my bachelor's.
All right.
Um, and I wanted to do a registered dietitian because um, 175 had a RD, and I went to go talk to her because I was actually getting ready for a fight. Because when I was still active duty, I was training and competing in martial arts, um, and I wanted to cut to the lowest weight that I at the time was my lowest weight that I'd been at. I was at 132, and I was like, okay, I'm nowhere near 132. I got to cut. I got to do this properly. And it changed my life because I just went to go see the RD to, obviously just for the fight, but I didn't know that it would change so much in my day to day. I used to have these midday crashes, and I used to think like, well, here, let me go grab an energy drink or a coffee because it's the midday. That's how it goes, but that's not actually how it goes. If you fuel your body properly, you'll have energy all day, sleep better, mood will be better, you just feel better, you recover faster. So I was like, okay, I'm going to go to school for that. And I decided to call my friend from third group because I knew he got out a year before me, and he did warn me of some of the stuff that not traditionally, but like it just seems to happen to a lot of us. So I did kind of have a heads up on that, but it even if you have the heads up, I have to deal with it. Um, but I was lucky enough to make friends. His name's Ryan. He was a 275 guy. Him and I hung out a lot. And then after I got over my hump or the storm, whatever you want to call it, I decided to, do something about it for as the community. So then I just started hosting UFC fights on my house. And just trying to build a community down here. And little by little, it's growing to something super cool and strong, and I love it.
Wow. So is it like a fight community? Is it like how did it stemmed from UFC fights, and like
Yeah.
how is it shaping now?
Well, it started first. It was only vets from my school. I was like, hey man, I'm gonna have the UFC fights. Most people, even if you don't train, you like to watch fights, especially if you're like a veteran. I was like, all right. I was like, yo. So I would buy the pay-per-view, buy the food, buy the beer, and I would tell dudes like, just come to my house. And I was doing that, but then I was gonna have my third child, and my wife was like, hey, like I know what this means to you, but we can't be doing this anymore. We got a third baby. We got to start thinking about, you know, um, money. And I was like, all right, well, you're right, but I didn't want to stop. So then I decided, I was like, okay, I'm going to start a sticker company. And for years, at this point, it'd be 3.5 years that I was out. And so for the 3.5 years, I was giving advice to dudes who were trying to join special operations because when I got out, I started sharing cool guy videos and pictures, and then it's always the same message. It would be like, "Hey man, no offense, but like you're small, so how did you do it?" And then I would just tell them like, "Hey man, it's mostly mental. This is how I prepare myself physically, and then the rest is mental." And then I would give them tips. So I already had a following. And if you see any of my combat footage or cool guy pictures, like I got skeleton gloves or a skeleton bandana because like I like Halloween. And one day my son drew a pumpkin and I made 100 stickers off that. And I was like, hey, if this kicks off, like, then maybe this is what it's going to be. So I made 100 stickers of this pumpkin that my son drew. And I was like, hey, who wants a sticker for free? And in 2 hours, all stickers were gone. And I was like, okay, maybe I do have something. So as the company grew, I started doing, instead of just hosting UFC fights in my house, which I still do. The last thing I had was the Mike Tyson house.
Yeah.
Mike Tyson fight. I bought a keg, bought the food and everything. But then it started growing, so I could do more. I sponsor fighters for my gym. Some of the amateurs I've sponsored dudes who are going into special operations and they need gear, because most of the dudes who enter the Army, they're in college or high school, and for the most part, buying a pair of boots or fins and stuff like that, it costs money. Not every high schooler has money. So I do that, and then I host vehicle courses. I buy cars where we shoot to and from the vehicles, and I have a taco guy with me, and we take, everything's free, and that's what it's come to now. And it all started just because I wanted to keep hosting UFC fights at my house.
Well, what's the business called? How do people look into this?
So it's called the OG Pumpkin because my son drew it, and it was a pumpkin, and I was like, okay, what do I call it? Like, I don't know what to call it. So I went on Instagram, and I was like, let me see if pumpkin is taken. Of course, pumpkin is taken. And then I was like, okay, what about original pumpkin? That's taken. And then, I was like, what about OG pumpkin? And then I put in the OG pumpkin, and then boom, it was available. And I was like, well, there you go. It's the OG pumpkin. So that's the IG handle. And, we grew from that. It started with the drawing of my son. And then I reached out to veteran and active duty artists, and most of the art is based off of them. And, it's growing little by little. Now we're selling, hats, rash guards, of course, stickers, hoodies.
So it's like surf stuff, surf lifestyle.
Yeah. And we're slowly reaching into skateboarding.
Awesome.
And stuff like that. And, because like most vets, we're not just veterans, we have other hobbies, other interests. So people see like, hey, this dude skates, he serves, he actually trains, like legitimately trains at gyms, and so I've just branched out to the things that I'm already doing, and I know other people are doing. So it's naturally growing, and it's become something I didn't see it come. Like the last shooting course that I had, we had just about everybody from, we had law enforcement, we had SEALs, Rangers, Green Berets, Marines, because it's SoCal, so there's a bunch of Marines here, and even civilians who were, they were like, dude, like this is dope, and I'm like, well, I care about community, and even before that, before getting out, I always looked after the dudes as much as best as I could,
Well, I think a big important thing too is your story and messaging is so crazy. It's like, what would you like think of kids that were in your situation right now that are possibly looking to the military, that might be an escape or a help or things like that. Like, what would you say to kids that are in the situation that you were in? Like what advice would you give them, or how would you encourage them that it isn't over? There's not only one way.
Well, I would say that, it sounds super corny, but I mean, you got to believe in yourself, and you're worth more than what you think, and you deserve more than what you think, because I've been in that position where I accepted my life. I realized, I thought that things could not get any better, and this is where I was going to be forever, and this is what I deserve, and nobody loves me, and I'm powerless. But that's not the case at all. It sounds super corny, but whatever it is you want to do, you can do it. You just got to believe in yourself, and it starts with a thought, and then you transform that into actions, and then little by little you get some traction, and next thing you know, hey, you're a cop, or you're on your way to medical school, or I mean, I know that feeling. And it's tough, and not every day it's going to be a positive thing. You might have a setback, but you just got to keep going, and if you keep going, things are going to happen, and change is going to, and you'll see it, and then you'll start believing, man. And it's not going to be easy, and you can't always think negatively and be like, well, this is, the man is on me, or no one helps me, or whatever. You can't have that mindset. You have to pass that, and it's tough, for sure.
And did you think that, like, did you finally feel at ease once you were in the Army? Like, once you got to the base and you started learning your craft and things like that, was that when you finally kind of were like, yes, I made the right call here?
Yeah, immediately. I mean, graduating, most people just graduate basic, and it's just basic. But to me, I mean, in my eyes, I made it. I mean, I made it, in life. I proved to myself, more importantly than anything, that I am capable of something, of more than what I thought it was. And if I put the work in, and it's going to suck, like, things will happen. And I'm like, well, if I can do this, then I started asking, what else can I do then? And then I was like, well, let's see what else I can do. And next thing I go to this once course and I pass it, or I go to this school, or I go to a best cyber competition, and by the time I'm done, 30 minutes later, the next team is done. So I'm like, oh shit, like I can do more than what I thought I was capable of. And it gives me confidence, not false confidence. It's confidence based off actual results. So yeah.
No, that's awesome. I mean, some people need to hear this. Some people need the push, or some people need to know that there are options, because I'm sure at some point in your situation, you felt like this was life. You know what I mean? Like, I can't get out. It's either I die trying to get out, or this is it. So I mean, I guarantee there's quite a few people in that situation that you were in, but you somehow just took the leap and said, fuck it. Let's give this a shot.
Yeah. And I mean, and that it's like, just like how you said it, just fuck it. Let's go for it. Because if something didn't happen, then guess what? I'd be in the same place that I was, just thinking of what could have been, or whatever. But now I still continue it. I get out, and these events have been that my company's been hosting. It first, it just started just to build a community, because I want, since I've been out, all I wanted was friends. I mean, you get out, and you don't have a support system like how you did in the inside. You don't have a platoon with you. All your dudes are still in, and then you're out, and then you obviously go back to the friends that you used to have, because most likely you've changed throughout your military career.
Yeah.
So that type of mindset, I'm still doing that. I still see myself as that kid, stuck, or not necessarily stuck, but in a situation that I need to keep working. And then now I'm out.
Yeah. How long until your degree's done? You said you have 17 credits left. How long does that take? When do you plan on finishing? And then once you have this degree, what's your course of action with it?
Well, I have 17 credits, and I'm going to split it in 2 semesters. So spring starts soon, and then after, then I got fall, and then after that I'll do my internship, and then after the internship I take the national exams. and then I'm an RD, and then I want to work with law enforcement and the veteran and military community, and I'm actually I started doing that last month, just so I can see what my teaching style is. I've been doing online nutrition with some active duty guys, working with somebody in person. But one of the things that I didn't see coming, well, it's honestly it's this company thing, LG Pumpkin. Well,
Yeah.
I was fortunate enough to be on Andy Stump's podcast, and after that, somebody reached out, and I need to ask them in person, like, hey man, can I mention you? But this individual who used to be at Nike for a while, he's like, hey man, Andy Stumps is my friend. I listened to his podcast and you happen to be on, and I saw that you're a local guy, and let's talk. So we talked for 3 hours, and long story short, he's like, hey man, I want to mentor you. And if somebody like them is reaching out, then maybe I should see where this goes, So I'm at a fork. Like, I do want to finish my schooling and stuff like that, but I also see this opportunity that, maybe something else can happen.
But it's also something that you're able, you can do in the evenings and things like that. I mean, Matt and I operated Article 15 clothing for almost 3 years before we left our day jobs. We had a crew of about 6 people, of all of our friends that were partners in that and stuff like that. But it was like, once it got so big to the point where, we can leave our actual jobs for this, then we kind of laterally transitioned without much effect on our lifestyles and stuff like that. So keeping it as that, and yes, having the mindset of networking in this phase too. You would be surprised how many people are just super introverts and don't understand that when you have a goal to create a brand, a lifestyle brand like you're doing. And this goes for a number of different verticals. Like if you're a musician or somebody else that is trying to do something that essentially involves a lot of eyeballs and traffic to make sustainable. When someone hears your story and gets excited or motivated by it, and then turns around after listening to your show with Andy and picks up the phone and says, I want to talk to you, man. I want to mentor you. Like, be receptive to that. And say yes to everything. Like, obviously, you do your due diligence if people are asking for a cut of equity or want to put money places. Yeah, that's where you can be cautious. But when people are just offering help, advice, and a network, say yes. Because you'd be surprised how many times I've reached out to people because I saw a piece of content that made me connect or like them. And then I go, hey, here's who I am. I would love to help you. And I get shut out or shunned or people just like treat it as if it's an attack or something like that, or I'm trying to steal something from them. And it's like, no, man, I hear a story and I get hyped up about it, and then I try and do something about it. That's just my personality. But I'm glad to hear that you took that in and said yes, because a lot of people don't.
Well, because after I talked to the guy, I was like, I'm glad you reached out, and to be honest, I don't know much, and that's one of the reasons why he contacted me. He's like, he's like, I heard you tell Andy that you're not a businessman, but he's like, but you are. He's like, you're an entrepreneur, and I was like, well, I didn't see myself that way. And then when he started asking me questions, I would tell him, like, to be honest, I don't know these answers. I don't know what's the next step. This is, everything is getting bigger than what I thought. So yes, please, and he's been taking me to meet some of his friends who own other companies and who we've had similar upbringings, and they have, of course they've given me business advice, but one of the things that they've really helped me do is believe in myself business wise. Kind of like my mentors in the military made me believe in myself to complete this school or this course or take this team leader position. They're helping me believe in myself as a businessman, because it took me a while to actually say that out loud, like, hey, I am a business owner. I used to just tell people like, I have like a little sticker thing, and then people are like, no, dude, that's a business.
No, that's awesome. I'm good to hear, and now hopefully the people that listen to us go check out the OG Pumpkin and see what kind of goodies he got over there. I'm gonna need some stickers for some skateboards. You can't see them right now, but I got decks hanging up all over the wall up here. I'll just send you some pictures. But we're gonna have to get you out with us at some point, either maybe next time Andy comes and hangs out or whatever. We'll make sure that you're on the invitation list so you come and hang out with me and Matt and Logan, all the guys.
I mean, I would love to, like, I don't bug out on celebrities, but when it comes to fighters and dudes like you guys, like, I for sure get super fangirl style.
Well, maybe we'll have to bring you out when we're hanging out with some of our UFC buddies.
Yeah, I mean, I met Chuck Liddell and I couldn't even remember my name. I was just like, can we take a picture?
That's awesome.
I mean, I know he's super, he's not in the game and he's old, like super old in the fighting game, but like, I mean, growing up,
he's Hall of Fame.
Yeah. He's somebody, so I get super fangirl when I meet fighters and stuff like that.
That's awesome.
But that's where I'm at. Either way, what I do want to do is I want to help people. I mean, we're helping each other here. I've had a lot of help to where I'm at, and it feels good helping people. It feels good building a community, and I don't want to neglect the veteran community or the low income community that I came from. So that's whatever it is I do end up doing. I believe that I'm best believe that I'm going to be doing something that helps.
Awesome, I've really enjoyed this. So you got a great message, man. And I really like this. I can't wait to jump on your site and look at all your stuff. This is going to be fun.
And, thank you. Thank you for the support.
Again, where can people? Well, yeah, I've got your Instagram is right below your video right here, so they can find you there. And then if they want to see your business and your products, it's the OG Pumpkin.
Yes, it's the OG Pumpkin is the IG handle. And then, I mean, mine is Angel G Cortes 175. And then I am always
you can just do this right there. Just put your hands up and go like this because it's sitting right below you.
Oh. Oh. And then come out and train at one of the gyms. If you're a veteran or you're in town, come. The martial arts community, it's like therapy. There's some of the nicest people. You don't have to be scared to come in. Come and train for free. I train at Classic Fight Team and Raw Talent Boxing, and just come get a good workout. And I always invite people. So if you're active, if you want to climb a mountain, I've met up with dudes and climb Mount Baldy. We've gone surfing. The other day we were just running out of Square Park. You're not alone. I know if you're out, you don't necessarily have friends, but like, dude, you just got to reach out, guys. Like, and we're always hosting events. I just came back from an event that the Gorilla Group hosted. And then the week before, Thrash and Raid, which is a Marsoc skateboard company, they hosted an event. So like, there is things out, guys. So if you're out or you're on your way out, there is a community, and there's communities everywhere. Look them up.
Awesome. Thanks, Angel. This has been awesome. You're a great guest. Can't wait to have you back on. We can talk more skating stuff and check in with you in a couple months.
Yeah. No, I appreciate it, and dope. Like anytime, and also if you're in town, man, come hang out. We'll go do something.
Absolutely. I'll see you next time I'm in California. Well, take care, buddy. Hey, everyone. Thanks for tuning in to Free Range American. This was Angel Cortes. Go give him a follow on Instagram and check out his new business, the OG Pumpkin.